Good day everyone. On this video, I would like to discuss about teaching English and cultures. So I found an article which is discussing about local and international culture that is represented in ESL or EFL textbooks. So these textbooks are produced internationally and used in several Asian countries. So everyone, the title of this article is Representation of Local and International Culture in Current International English Language Teaching Textbooks. So this study is conducted by Sin El-Sami, El-Eslami, and Chen in 2011. So I review and I will deliver the content, especially the finding of this research. And also I want to emphasize on some issues that found by the researchers in this article. So everyone, there are 4 points that I want to be delivered to you. The first is the background of the study, contains why the study is conducted and why it is important to analyze. And the second is the issues in the textbooks of AIL. The first is issue in AIEL, the culture in the EIL paradigma, and the cultural content in IO textbooks. And the method is the sample and underlying theory, and the result also the level of cultural knowledge and cultural representation in the textbook. Everyone, the background of the study is begins with the new status of English as an international language, or EIL poses major challenges to the hegemony of British and American native speaker norms in English language teaching, or ELT practices, and especially with the international English as international language. Many textbooks or many publishers wants to produce these kinds of book, but the researcher found some issues in the textbooks that produced internationally, especially for the inner circle country culture. So the issues in the article that I found, the first is from the EIL, the issues are stigmatization of the English language and the language identity, because they view that the English is international and is the language of inner circle country, and diverse culture, of course, because language cannot be separated with its culture, and cross-cultural communication is important in the textbooks for the students. And the second is cultural in the EIL paradigma. So the previous study here shows that students' own culture facilitate the target language learning, because they learn about their culture, but if when they learn the other culture, their own culture will take the role as the bridge to learn the other culture. And the cultural content in ELT textbooks, or many researchers agree that most current EFL textbooks focus on the features of Western culture. So this argument is based on the two researchers that you can see in the slide, but the other perspective see that from the EIL perspective, understanding learners' own culture is important, because they will have their own experience and authentic learning environment when the textbooks contains with their own culture. So there are two points of view about the cultural content in ILTX textbooks. Methodology of this study is this kinds of qualitative study, and the sample is 7 ELT textbooks that are designed for ESL or EFL contexts. And the two point will be examined in this study based on Murayama in 2000. There are aspects of cultural cultures and level of cultural representation. And the last is they also this study also use cultural models, which is inner circle country, external circle country, and expanding circle country culture to differentiate cultural representation in the textbook. So the result I divide into two kinds of result. The first is level of cultural representation, and here there are three findings that I can summarize here. The first is textbooks generally seems to demonstrate a heavy bias toward the traditional knowledge content level of cultural representation. And the second is none of textbooks was found to have a balance between the knowledge-oriented level and communication-oriented level of cultural representation, because the cultural representation, most of them in the text or reading text. So the most of the text present in cultural information mainly related with the tourism and surface level culture at the factual content. It means that the cultural representation in the text that in the international textbooks, in these international textbooks, mostly based on the Western and surface traditional representation of the other country, especially external or expanding circle country, because the other are from the native speaker, which is and native speaker which is from the inner circle, and the second is from the aspect of culture. Even though the inner circle cultural information dominates the content of the most ELT textbooks analyzed, there is some attempt to both localize and globalize the text. Yes, because it is important to put the culture of the other countries, so the student will see the different perspective, different knowledge of the cultural representation in the text. And cultural content related to the inner circle dominate the cultural content covered in all textbooks. Yes, of course, because they the author is from the inner circle, and from based on the issue that what I've delivered to you previously, there are 2 points of view still represent in the text, even though in the textbooks, and because the other find difficulties in putting the localized traditional culture in the textbook. So everyone, at the end of this article, the authors or the researchers give pedagogical implication toward the textbooks, these international textbooks. So the first is the strategy for designing EIL curriculum. So the first is localized material by using learners' experience and making textbooks culturally responsive, because we know that most of the textbooks usually from the inner circle country cultures, and place equal value on both native and non-native speaker cultural knowledge. So that's about the designing the curriculum. And next we move to the future English language textbook. So this study suggests that some points here. The first is not only focus on cultural facts, but also on deeper beliefs and values. And the second is incorporate a variety of Englishes in teaching materials. And the next is encourage non-native English-speaking educators to write textbooks. It is because they have the authors have to listen or conduct research about the other culture and involve the non-native English-speaking educators to design the textbooks together. And the next is promote native and target cultures. Both of the cultures have a balanced proportion. And the next is raise publishers' awareness of intercultural competence. So it is for the future's English language textbook. Everyone, that's all about this review of the article. I hope you can learn something, and I want to emphasize that if we want to teach the students with the culture and evolve some cultures, it will beneficial if we as the teachers teach them with their experience or their own culture, so therefore they have the authentic learning environment and they can construct the knowledge based on their understanding, background knowledge, and it will become the bridge for them to learn the other cultures. So that's all for me. Thank you.